Next up, we'll have Ramona Bessinger, Providence Teachers. Good evening, Ramona. Welcome to the Senate Committee on Oversight. I ask if you please keep your testimony to 3 minutes or less, it would be appreciated. Over to you, Ramona.
Okay, thank you. My name is Ramona Bessinger. I teach English at East Copland School, and I have a couple of things. I'm going to be very pointed, not very long, but a couple of things that concern me regarding the new curriculum that was implemented this past year. First of all, just to speak to the Commissioner's comment regarding curriculum in Providence, we've had curriculum, Springboard, Summit, and always using the Common Core. So there is nothing new here. The one item or the two items new in the current curriculum of great concern. First of all, the books. They have not been vetted. I've asked the question to the literacy coaches, where did these books come from? In January, hundreds and hundreds of books landed in our classroom. Our vetted curriculum was removed. That means Shakespeare, American literature, British literature, world literature, Latino literature, Martin Luther King, Maya Angelou, you name it, taken away, gone. Replaced with books that are substandard, lack rigor, and clearly are, thematically one-dimensional. I feel that the books need to be, we need to have some data to explain what and how and who chose these books, and where is the data to support that these books are somehow going to increase reading and writing scores. That's the first thing. Secondly, I'm concerned about the ERLA assessment being used. That is for, it's the reading assessment that is used to provide formative data. Currently, it seems that the ERLA assessment is being used for summative data purposes to show that students are leveling up or skipping grades or moving up in grades with regards to reading and reading comprehension. And I think that needs to be looked at very, very closely, because those scores are going to be used to bolster the Commissioner's book choice or unvetted curriculum materials. I really think that this ERLA data is being used, I don't want to say false, as a way to false report, but somebody is getting it wrong and they're using it incorrectly as an indicator of student growth. In particular, my school at Isaac Hopkins. I would like if somebody would audit or look closely at the ERLA data and not just speak to the building principal or just speak to one or two teachers in the building, but to speak to everyone who has administered the data and to get to the bottom of how it's going to be used to bolster the new curriculum materials, specifically the books, which in my opinion are terrible, poorly written, and extremely, when you talk about bias training, well, these books are very biased in nature and oftentimes historically inaccurate, and in my, I could go on and on about specifically which books and what the content is of the books, but there's no time. My concern is with the ERLA data being used incorrectly to advance and bolster the Commissioner's choice
Ramona,
in curriculum.
if you could please summarize, it would be appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, and finally, we are not given choice. Teachers did not choose this curriculum. Teachers sat on committees along with several other members. They were presented with one or two curriculum choices that were products that were exactly the same content, same narrative, same projects. Everything was the same. There was no real choice, and teachers had no choice in or decision in this in choosing the curriculum. It needs to be investigated.
Thank you, Ramona. Any questions from the committee for Ramona? Senator Dela Cruz.
Thank you for calling. This This it's troubling to hear that we're removing classic literature like Shakespeare and other pieces of literature, as you were mentioning. Who vetted these, I guess, hundreds of books that are now landing in the classroom and replacing the Shakespeare and the classic literature?
Nobody, we were told, we were not given any explanation. I asked the ARC coach specifically in two separate ways because she didn't seem to understand the question. Who vetted the materials? Who read the books? Let's look at who okayed the hundreds of books, hundreds of leaflet-style books that are in our classrooms. She could not give me an answer. First, she said it was a group of people that sat in a room. Then she said
Tell
it was
me
one or
which
two
books.
people. There's hundreds of leaflet-style books that were moved into our classrooms. They all represent different levels. We don't know who decided what these, what level a certain book should be, what content relates to. So they all seem to have the same narrative, which is, there's a great deal of hostility embedded in the books. The books all seem to be rather violent or swayed in one direction thematically. Somebody needs to look at this because millions of dollars, taxpayer dollars, have gone into these books and this curriculum, and we don't know where it came from.
Thank you, Ramona. Thank you, Senator. I think Senator Costa might have an update for you, Senator De La Cruz.
Well, I actually had a question for Ms. Bessinger, if she's still on.
Sorry. Is Ramona still there?
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Bessinger. Thank you for your testimony. I have a question because I have a somewhat nuanced perspective on choice or on input. The commissioner and her team mentioned that they applied for the IB curriculum certification, which is an arduous process to get fully certified. But one thing that I know from having been an IB student is that the curriculum is pretty rigid. It's internationally normed. The tests, when you take them, are all graded in the same country because they're shipped all over the world. FedEx comes, we take them at different times of the day. So in Alaska, they might be taking them at 6 a.m. and in the U.S., in the continental U.S., we might be taking it at 1 p.m. And it's the same time that they're taking it in Spain and in other places. All that to say, there isn't much teacher choice in the adoption of what curriculum materials or what standards you will be able to use in your classroom.
I'm not speaking about the standards.
Right, but so I guess my question is, if you were to work at an IB school, would you be okay with getting something that was determined and shipped out of Geneva as the curriculum and as the materials that you would teach?
That has nothing to do with my statement. My statement is regarding the IRLA assessment and the books. I am concerned about these books. They have not been vetted. We have not been told where they came from, who wrote them. In some cases, the writers appear to be ghost writers or, whatever the term is called. We don't know where these books have come from and why they were chosen to replace vetted materials like Shakespeare, world literature, etc. In fact, I was given one answer, and the answer was that these books kids could relate to. Well, who said that? Where's the data to prove that? And where is the rigor?
Thank you. And I think I guess the principle underlying my question is, within the IB curriculum, you may not be able to choose what books you would get to teach. So I'm trying to get at whether the problem is the principle of choice or the problem is the lack of access to the information of how that choice was made. And so when I was in high school, we didn't read Huckleberry Finn, right? We read Gabriel Garcia Marquez. We read Chinua Achebe, books that maybe our teachers had not read when they were kids, but were considered internationally to be the gold standard of literature. And so we read that.
The gold standard has been removed from our classroom, okay? We don't have any more international literature in our classroom. We're not including, diverse literature. It is very myopic. It is very pointed, this literature. We are not teaching diversity and racial, equity in the classroom with the book.
Ramona, I think we will follow up. I think Senator De La Cruz, quick question.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hang on, Ramona, hang on. Then we have one quick question.
One quick question. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, sorry about that. Can you please give me titles, or even just like 3 titles of the books that replaced the classic literature?
Yes. Yes, for example, we taught a whole unit on the Holocaust, gone from our curriculum, replaced with a book titled Bull Run, which is so substandard in its in quality of literature, but also in the content. And you know, so Bull Run replaced the Holocaust and was replaced with a unit on the Civil War. The westward expansion replaced poetry and Shakespeare. Our first unit of study is typically in September. That first quarter is multicultural. We did not have a multicultural unit of study. Now, the commissioner will say that she gave us a survey, as is often the case, a survey to ask us which books we would like to include for the following year. But I'm not buying that. We've had so many surveys and so many, you know, consultants. I think this is all smoke and mirrors. So
Ramona,
yes.
Thank you very much. We're gonna
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you,
Okay.
Senator.